All right, so what was your exposure or ideas of German culture before you took German as a class?
Before I took German, I don't know, I thought German was a very ugly language, to be honest, very rough sounding, and just not a lot of German speaking people even around here. So I wasn't very exposed to German culture to begin with. You know, you have that stereotypical lederhosen, you know, beer drinking, big, large individuals.
I never really thought about German culture that much, to be honest, before taking it in the academy and in high school. I guess my exposure to it was mostly through history classes, through the World Wars, and
I mostly thought of Germany because of World War II and the Nazis. I maybe thought of it a little bit as like the car companies, but not really. Like I only focused on like they were a huge military power first, but now they aren't. But I
think a lot of it was based around the Holocaust. So not that all Germans were Nazis or anything like that, but pretty much the majority of what I knew about German history and German culture was the beer fest stereotype and then the Holocaust history and World War II.
So
there was always that dichotomy between, oh, Germans are Nazis and Germans are people, because
how is your perspective changed, or is it changed now that you've taken German for 4 years?
Now that I've taken German for 4 years, it's hard for me to even think about them as Nazis because I was there and I'm not the people. And after World War II, I realized they took a complete 180-degree turn away from fascism and Nazism. Now they're one of the most liberal countries I can think of. So that's how my perspective of Germany has changed.
another thing is through studying German culture, and not only through German classes, but through classes like social studies and even math and science that I took in high school, I really got to see how big of an influence German society has on politics, the economy, math and technology. So,
getting into some of the romantic period, some of the culture on that end, like the high culture, I guess is what you would call it, with like Goethe and a lot like Kant, a lot of other people in the arts like that I just had no idea about, and just like their political situation now and like the current like Angela Merkel, watching her get elected and seeing what she's doing with the economy right now, the whole German connection with environmentalism that I had no idea about, and definitely breaking down some of the stereotypes about drinking and the Holocaust and learning in more depth about the issues behind both of those.
And some kids were saying, they were talking about Germany and they were like, yeah, it's really scary, like, I don't know if I'd want to go there, like, I'd be really scared. And I think there's definitely some stupid misconceptions, and I don't think any of us had those beforehand. But, I mean, overall, I've learned more about the culture in general.
Studying the German language has made me a lot more interested and enthusiastic about studying European history. And traveling to Germany after junior year was a very unique experience. I was able to interact with a lot of Germans in German.
I guess first and foremost, it wasn't the ugly sounding language that I initially thought it to be, and I think I've really started to enjoy I guess just the small aspects of like German culture, like when we went to
Germany was a good opportunity to see a culture from not a tourist perspective, but from the perspective of a person actually living and experiencing the culture, a student, I guess.
So what would you say to people who don't currently take German on how to approach the culture?
I guess just keep an open mind about the German culture. It's not the stereotypical. I mean, I feel like the stereotypical has somewhat of a basis, you know, because that is the image that we get a lot, and part of it is actually true. But just to keep an open mind about German culture and to approach it in a sense where you want to be culturally aware and learning about that culture rather than judging it. So.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a mean and rough language, as they say. There's a lot of other qualities to it, so I think that they should just experience it a little bit more, either do research on it through a project or something for school, or like, you could take the language, although that might be.
From a cultural standpoint, if there are people who are hesitant to take German because of the country's history, or there's negative stereotypes about German culture, I would say just forget all of that, because
Don't harbor preconceptions, I guess. History is just history. It's shaped who, or the kind of society Germany is today, but it doesn't define it.
I mean, their history does go way far back, but I think it's easy to lump off people if you say, look at all these awful things they did, it's because they're Germans, or just to compartmentalize that into your brain. It's just because, just view it as something the Germans did, as opposed to...
It's their country trying to deal with this negative image that has been placed on them. The new generations are definitely more educated and aware.
Definitely visiting. I think when I went freshman year, just being there and seeing that it is a real place and there's real people that you're interacting with.